In India, cricket is more than just a sport. It's a cliche, but cricket is a religion. The popularity of the sport, unimaginable. While baseball teams, American football squads and soccer clubs are worth billions, IPL franchises in India are turning out to be quite an investment as well. So when you talk about putting money into sports in India, cricket is the game that leads the way. Venky Mysore has seen that potential. He's 52, an ardent cricket fan, and as the CEO and MD of the Kolkata Knight Riders, yep, I'd say he does know a bit about investing in an IPL team. 76 million US dollars. Now that's a huge sum to buy a franchise, that is Kolkata Knight Riders today. You know, how does the entire process happen?
While sports franchises in general have existed in other parts of the world, in Europe, in the US, etc. For India, it was a brand new concept. So, for people to buy into that, needed someone who really was passionate about this particular line.
Right.
And it is the product, which is really the sports entertainment, which I think drew a lot of excitement. But this has happened over the last 3 years. So now, if you look at the newer teams that have come in and the valuation at which they have come in, I think the investors and the owners stand very much vindicated because it was in excess of $300 million
right.
Of the two newer teams that have come in. Sure. So it just shows that as a business model, it has actually stood the test of time already.
When you look at your own team, Kolkata Knight Riders, they haven't performed very well, but yet they are the highest rated in terms of its revenues or the marketing blitzkrieg that we see around it. What do you account it to?
There are many examples of franchises around the globe where there is no direct correlation many times. Because ultimately what it is I think where the risk was, even for IPL as a concept, was, see, it is built on the foundation of a connectivity to a community. So if you say Kolkata Knight Riders, this is a Kolkata team. And it doesn't mean we don't have fans in the rest of India.
Sure.
Or when you have 80,000 screaming fans at a game in Eden Gardens, first of all, that atmosphere is electric. But that is really what drives the whole concept. And to be able to build that and nurture that in an environment in India where that didn't exist was very, very critical. And our endeavor as a business model is really take it to the next level.
Right.
Because when that connectivity becomes really strong, fans actually attach themselves to a franchise.
Sure.
And not to players. Because ultimately you realize that players come and go. Because that's just the nature of sports franchises.
Just help us understand the business of buying an IPL team, of buying a cricket team. Just help us understand it, how it works right now in the Indian context.
Well, at one level it's fairly simple, because at the end of the day, like any other business, it has a P&L, and it has revenue streams today which are sort of predefined.
And which would those be?
Well, I broadly put them into 3 buckets. There is the TV rights are centrally contracted by BCCI IPL.
Right.
And there is a sharing system which where every franchise gets a certain share of the TV revenues that come in.
Right.
And then each franchise goes out on its own and generates sponsorship revenue.
Venky Mysore is no stranger to cricket. In his growing up years, like most of us, he dabbled with the sport and got as far as the university level. And like many other aspiring cricketers, he too had big dreams of playing international cricket someday. But then, like most of us again, he chose a management degree over cricket, since in those days it would be that much more of a career. But 25 years hence, after slogging it out in the world of financial services, came his calling, a chance to be part of the sport he played, and this time he wasn't going to drop the catch. The mindset completely changes when you become the CEO of Kolkata Knight Riders, coming from the space that you did. Did you have to tweak your mind, start thinking really differently?
Well, it does, because it's much more of a visible space, And but when we were considering this, I mean, I don't think too much changes, frankly, because my own mindset of focusing on the fundamentals of the business, keeping things simple, and following the process to get to an end game that you want to get to. I think at that fundamental level, nothing changes, because it is a business. And I mean, I know that I've been brought in, and my endeavor is to make sure that we make this into a bigger business, a really big business, and make it a very successful business. In the process, there's a lot of fun to be had as well, just by virtue of what the product is.
Do you think you regret in hindsight a little bit about having moved from a space where you could just sit back on a weekend, enjoy the sport, and enjoy playing your mridangam from time to time? I don't know how much time you get to be able to pursue your passion for music.
Not enough.
Not enough.
No, but I think it's like anything else. I mean, frankly, in any business that you run, you're really focused about what you want to achieve, and you try to do it as honestly and as fairly as one could. So this is no different. But in the process, you have to take certain decisions, which you believe, you have conviction in saying that that's the right thing for the business.
Right.
And others might debate it, but that's why you're put in positions to take decisions.
Well, it is a tough business to be in. The world of cricket can be a passion, but when you put in money over there, the entire game changes. And Venky finds himself right in the middle of it. He's turned it into a very successful business right now as far as Kolkata Knight Riders is concerned. Good luck to you going ahead from here. From our perspective, IPL Season 4 should be that much more exciting, looking at the kind of players that you have been able to rope in. Of course, there are other ways of investing in sport. We're going to talk about that, but we aren't letting Venky go off that easily. We're getting him to play some mridangam for us. Stick around here on Smart Money Aspire. It's a dream that so many of us nurture, to get away from crazy city life and set up base somewhere away from the city, right in the midst of nature. We've met so many couples here on Smart Money Aspire who've been able to do just that. But now we are about to meet one more couple. But what's different about them is that it doesn't stop at getting away from the city. They're also in the business of teaching people how to fly, and that they do from this lovely cottage that they've created. It's called the Native Place. 110 kilometers from Mumbai is Kamshet. Set in the scenic Western Ghats, Kamshet is predominantly rural with traditional style houses. But this otherwise sleepy village in Maharashtra is synonymous with adventure sports, and Sanjay Rao has a lot to do with it. With his wife Astrid, Sanjay set up Nirvana Adventures in 1997. With that, Kamshed turned into a paraglider's paradise. Over the years, thousands of visitors from all walks of life have tried their hand at this flying sport, including a certain high-profile politician, Rahul Gandhi. Sanjay is an engineer by qualification. He passed out of MIT in Manipal in 1989. But he had to spend 8 years switching 3 jobs before he found his true calling.
So you always knew at the back of your mind that you wanted to become something more than an engineer, that your real calling in life lay elsewhere.
Yeah, something different. I didn't know what it was at that point, for sure.
Yes.
And then, of course, paragliding happened to me.
How did that happen?
Well, I was camping here in between jobs, and an engineering mate of mine called me and said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm camping out." He said, "Can you come over and see you here?" I said, "Yeah, sure." So he landed up with his friends, who happened to be paragliding pilots.
So you got this piece of land first, right, Sanjay?
Yeah.
How did the thought of investing in land come about?
What he learned from me in some time of us spending time together, that I was really keen to have this piece of land out of town.
Right.
And Khandala and Lonavala were really ridiculously expensive,
Yes.
but it was still my dream. So he came across someone who happened to be selling land here, and he brought me here without telling me where he was taking me.
So the native place then became the hub of activity where paragliding was concerned, where you wanted to take off, so to speak, into turning it into a business.
Yeah, absolutely.
How did the thought of turning it to a business first start?
That was how I convinced him. When I kept telling him we need to build, he said, you know, we were thinking of the returns. If we're going to put in so much money, it costs a lot to build, you know. And then I told him, I said, we can have families come in from the city, and people can come here, you know, people who don't have a native place, people who want their kids to climb trees and be exposed to nature. We have so little of that in the city anymore.
After a while, the paragliding business grew, and as they say, necessity is the mother of invention. And we needed accommodation and infrastructure to house the growing number of students. And then visiting pilots started coming over for winter holidays because they heard about this place called Nirvana in Kamshed, where it was flyable during winter. So that's when we decided, yes, it's high time now, let us build something which we can use on a larger scale.
Right.
And that's where the business module came into play.
So I'm very keen to get started on paragliding. I'm quite excited about the idea as well. Do you think you can give me my first lesson?
Okay, done. Let's go right now.
Let's go. We're all set to go paragliding, and I'm getting my first lesson now. So Sanjay, where does it all begin? I'm seeing this huge kit over here.
Well, this is your paraglider, the entire stuff. So this is your harness and glider. You've got to open it up first. See, the harness has got like foam protection here.
Right.
So when you're doing ground training, to slip and fall, your back has to be protected always.
Right.
I mean, it is all safety mechanisms which are inbuilt into the harness. Helmet is the first thing on and the last thing off. That's a safety issue again. This is how you're going to get connected to the harness.
Right.
First thing you do is you have to clear the lines, make sure there are no knots.
Right.
What we are going to do now is basically we're going to stand in the right position, which he will show you, and then lift on the A riser
Right.
and move ahead.
Release the riser, so break.
Hands up, hands up.
You know, Sanjay, this has been fun because I've been practicing a little cruise here and there, but that doesn't matter because it's really about the thrill of the sport. Adventure sport.